I think it's important to realize that most people, even though you're going to see on TV that you see the Kardashians driving around in Rolls Royces, and you see everybody on cribs, and you see all these people making millions of dollars after a year or two. You have to realize that that's like the highlight reel, man, and that the reality of it is that it's going to take time, because of the way society views success and markets success and sensationalizes wealth and things like that. They make it seem as if if you haven't gone from zero to multimillionaire in 1 or 2 years, that you failed. And the reality of the situation is that time is always going to be a factor for a multitude of reasons. One, it takes time for people to get comfortable with what you're doing and accept you as a reputable brand. Two, you have a lot of lessons that need to be learned during that time frame. Those two things right there are going to be what you need to do, or what you need to realize to make sure that you're not only learning lessons to be successful, but that you're giving yourself a realistic time frame to reach your goals. It's not going to take 2 years. When you commit to something, plan on it being 10 years, plan on it being 12 years, and realize that that's the time where you're going to learn the lessons, where the next 10 or 12 years are going to be tremendously successful. Look at it as your education, as opposed to, I have to have the reward a year from now. So I think the first tip is to be realistic and be patient. The second tip that I would definitely want people to understand is that, you are in control of what happens. I can remember thinking when I was younger, we used to have pictures of cars and watches and all these things, and we'd look at them, and I used to think to myself, man, I wonder if I'm ever going to be one of these people who gets these things. And I used to think of it in terms of almost like winning a lottery, or like being hit with like some sort of magical success wand, which you'll hear me talk about a lot on Instagram and Facebook. It's not chance. When before you've achieved it, it seems like it's chance. And if you haven't achieved it, and the way people talk about it, they talk about it in terms of like luck and like fortunate and blessed and all these things. And that's the way the people that haven't achieved describe success. Whereas the people who have achieved look back and they realize, and this is what I'm trying to get the point across, is that you are in control of that process. It's not up to some magical chance, because a lot of people think of it like, if I do all this work, and what if it doesn't happen? No, if you do the work and you make a plan, it will fucking happen. There is no question. And looking back, from where I am now to where I was then, the attitude has progressed from, I used to think that same way, and now I see how it really was. So it's not a matter of chance. So realize that you are in control. And I would say the third thing is definitely follow your passion and not chase money. And you'll hear people say that, and it doesn't make sense, because they think like, it sounds like such a like abstract thing, like follow your passion. It's like this like a positive thinking mantra or whatever. But the reality is that business is really, 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 really hard. And if you're in business and you're doing it just for the money, and you're not doing it because you really care, what's going to happen is when things get tough, it's going to be easy for you to quit, because the money is not enough reward. Um, it has to come down to doing something that you're passionate about, something that you love, something that you want to get up and do every day, because that way, when you're not making money and the money's not there, you still do it anyway and you get better anyway. So it makes it easier for you to continue to get better and improve, which is what's required for you to ultimately reach the goal. So I really think that following a passion is a requirement of being successful, for the simple fact that it makes it almost impossible to quit. So try to figure out what it is you're passionate about, what it is that you enjoy, and you're going to naturally become better. You're going to naturally endure the times of when it's hard, because you love it. So I would say, that's definitely the three things that I could recommend. I mean, I could go on all day of different principles, but the reality is those three things are things I think that people don't think about as important, and I ultimately feel like they're three of the top most important things.